Hello, everyone, and welcome Emily Axford to Dragon Talk.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here.
We're really excited.
We're really excited.
You are a multifaceted performer and writer.
Yeah. You got to be in this day and age, you know? People get bored of you real quick.
You're like a quintuple threat. You can sing, dance, ice skate, play D&D, and
At the same time, cook a souffle.
No, I actually can't ice skate. I'm terrified of it.
Oh,
it's one of your phobias. All right. Well,
Yeah, so
I
only
agree.
a quadruple threat, unfortunately.
it says here on your resume under special skills, ice skating. So
Okay.
That was
Yeah.
supposed to be Spanish, which I also don't speak. So.
but we don't either. So what do we know?
No hablo.
No
español.
hablo español on Dragon Talk.
But no, people will most likely know you from Not Another D&D podcast, playing on
baby.
Dimension 20,
Yeah,
a little show that Shelly's
My
a big
favorite
fan of.
show in the world, Hot Date,
Oh,
streaming
yes,
on
I love
Netflix.
hearing that.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. My husband and I are obsessed. When we don't binge shows on Netflix though, we're the opposite. We're like, no, you can only watch one. And then we will wait a few
That's a
days and
really
we will
smart
watch.
way to be.
We savor them.
Because then sometimes if you binge a show, it goes in and out. I have memory problems, so
Me too.
You know, it's good for me to take it slow.
Yeah, I want to savor every minute of it. It's so good. It's so good. And it took
Thank
me a
you.
really long time to figure out the connection, like between
Yeah.
the
That
NADPOD, Hot Date.
Oh!
The voices are similar. No,
Oh,
these
yeah.
are there's 4 really funny people in the world, but there's actually just 2.
They're the
It
same
keeps
person.
getting smaller and smaller.
It does. It's
I'm
amazing.
sorry. I'm actually also Brennan.
Oh,
Oh my God. And then he went black. All right, no, you're back. Okay.
yeah, that was weird.
I thought when you
That was
took off
weird,
your
like you
mask.
took the mask off and the screen went dark.
It was like a
This is
Joker thing.
amazing. Awesome.
So, how did your I was gonna say affair with Dungeons and Dragons, but you know, how did that begin?
That's sexy. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
I know,
not
right?
fair.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
a fair because like the second I tried it, I was like, I want more of you.
I can't quit you.
It was lusty. It was a lusty beginning for sure. My affair with Dungeons and Dragons began. So I had played. Have you guys ever played Call of Cthulhu?
Yeah.
So like I had played that and was just like, what is this form of hanging out that you can do with your friends? This is amazing. We are hanging out, but we're also silly people that we aren't really. And so then like after that, I was like, I gotta play Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know anything about it. I gotta like, and I knew enough to know like I need to meet a DM. And so like it was in my head for a while. I was like on the lookout for a DM. And then at Siobhan Thompson's birthday party years ago, who is also in the Dimension 20 cast, I was talking to Brennan, who you had on last week, and he mentioned D&D, which at the time seemed like, I can't believe this came up, but now I know that he talks about D&D a lot, so like naturally it would have come up. And I just cornered him and I was like, I need you to DM a game for me.
Nice.
I have wanted to play this forever. And then, you know, like Siobhan's one of my best friends, Murph was there. It was literally just like, it was like the party dwindled down to the people that then became our home game.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Was it in like a New York apartment that looked like Friends as well?
No, actually it was on like an LA rooftop party.
Oh,
Oh,
Right?
that's even
that's
swankier.
even cooler.
I told you it was a lusty affair.
So how long ago was that? Was that recent?
Maybe it probably would have been like 6 years ago.
Okay.
I don't have a great concept of time. So, but we've been playing that home game for I think at least 5 years. So.
Wow.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
With the same people?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Every single December we have like a cabin trip that we just play all weekend.
That's great. I've always
Yeah.
wanted. I wish, you know.
You host this show and you don't have that?
No, I know. I play all the time. I just don't have that like getaway moment. I think that would be just ideal to have that, like, you know, do it all
Yes.
weekend long.
You gotta do it. You go out to a cabin, you all make breakfast and dinner together, you do Secret Santa, and
Aw.
Oh, I love
for your
that.
characters do the Secret
Right.
Santa.
Here's your +5 sword of
Do you-
slaying.
Do you really do that as your characters?
Yeah.
What sort of things do they gift each other? I love this idea.
A +5 sort of slang.
Yeah.
Okay, so I definitely am like, I hope that everyone, because like a couple of them are not performers, so I'm like, I hope they're cool with me just like talking about this on air. I'll say for Brennan, one year got me because I have a wolf familiar in that campaign, and he got me a wolf hat that like lit up, which is really awesome.
Oh yeah.
And then my friend plays like a rogue who came from a casino family, so I got him all these like vintage poker chips and stuff like that. That are named Tropicana because that's the name of the casino he comes from. I don't know. It's just this kind of stuff, It's cute.
That's a good idea.
It is a really good idea.
Yeah.
I love it.
So then because I also have short-term memory issues. And so it's like every day is a new day. I don't know what
You're like
happened a week
Memento.
ago.
You're like
it is
living
like
it.
Memento.
Yeah.
So I know we talked to
Not a bad
Murph.
movie.
No, we talked to Brennan, and I'm sure like this question was answered. But how does you're playing D&D 5 or 6 years ago, home game? How does it turn into a podcast?
How does it turn into a podcast? Okay, I can tell you. I don't know if Murph talked about this, but how it turns into a podcast is me, another kid in the podcast, and Murph had a video game book club podcast where we read book adaptations of video games. Highly labor intensive. Not that many people listened, but it was very, very fun. And we were like, we would do epic sessions of reading like a Sonic Adventure game book and like trying to beat it and stuff like that. And then from doing that, we were like, maybe we should do a D&D podcast. And we like asked the audience, and they were like, no, keep reading full books and doing book reports. And we were like, okay, cool. And then the fourth guy who's in it runs the podcast network, and he was like, hey, I really want to play D&D. Because he knew that we played D&D, and then we were just like, okay, yeah. I mean, yeah. I guess no one wants us to do this D&D podcast, but I guess we will. And then
one thing led to another, right? I mean, that's like where market research goes bad.
Yeah,
where you're like, no, we don't want you to do anything that will be really popular.
You had a very invested audience in hearing you read the book, so yeah, I can see why they wouldn't want you to stray away from that. But we're glad
we will return to some of those very difficult children's Sonic Adventure game books someday.
Yeah.
I want to know how you would fare doing all of those things. Yeah. Being a Sonic adventurer.
Yeah. I don't know if you listened to Brennan's interview, but he quoted you, and he said something that I'm like, I'm going to make a note to ask her about this when we talk to her.
To help with your short-term memory.
To help, and I actually write it down because I have. But no, it's a good one. It's a really good one.
This is the problem of having short-term memory, though, or even performing and having short-term memory, because half the times an episode comes out and everyone's like, "Oh my God, that was crazy that you said this," and I'm like, "Wait, what did I say? What context was that in? Is that okay that I said that?"
It's probably good that you do improv a lot because you don't have to memorize a script.
I know.
There you go. But he said that you had said when you play D&D, the memories that you have, I'm going to paraphrase, not that you'll remember saying it anyway, but that when you play D&D, the memories that you have from playing don't feel any different than the memories you have of doing something in real life.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And that was a very inspiring interview.
Well, because it's firing the same synapses in your brain.
But it's really, I've never heard somebody articulate that before. That
I would say it's a very dangerous line to walk. I mean, I'm sure that everyone experiences that, but that means that when you have a great session, you walk around and you're like, I'm a freaking hero. Yeah. But when you have a bad session, or when you didn't we play a teenage campaign, and it's playing a teenager who didn't get to say the thing they wanted to say to the person they have a crush on. All of a sudden you're back in feeling that teenage anxiety, and that's just living in your adult self, and so it's a double-edged sword.
I like that though, because then you're able to work through things that you can't work through anymore, right?
Absolutely.
Even if the session might not be up to your expectations, that next week you can try to work on it and make it better and work on it. Whereas in real life, you're I don't think I want to call up my girlfriend from 25 years ago and tell her how I really feel. I feel like out of context, it wouldn't really have the same effect, would it?
I don't know, man. Maybe you should try it. You should call that girlfriend and be like, hey, could you get into a D&D campaign with me? Because I have some stuff I want to work out.
We got to work.
And I just feel like this is a great way to do it.
I'm down if she is.
Yeah.
Oh, here you go. Phone.
Yeah, all right. I'll call her up.
Give her a call.
Hey,
Well, Donahue.
Ingrid. We haven't talked in a long time. But do you still play D&D? Okay, good.
Did she play D&D?
Yeah, did she?
I probably. I don't think she ever did, but I know she was interested in it.
What do you think she would have played?
Probably would have been a wizard, because she was a like an actual rocket scientist. She was like an astronomer, scientist, like super smart
she sounds
lady.
But not as beautiful as your wife.
Not as beautiful as
No.
my
What
wife.
would your wife play?
She plays a turtle. She's been playing a turtle rogue in our game, which is super
Okay,
good.
you did right. This is the wizard
Yeah.
for the turtle rogue.
I agree.
Being able to clam up in your shell is very important.
At the right time.
So cute.
It is fun. Yeah. So what's it like? I mean, I did play with my wife recently and last week, but she's never really loved doing it. Like, she's an actor and a performer, but she gets stressed out by improv and things like that. And she,
Really?
because
Well, are you guys doing it in a performance context?
no, but just
she's nervous about
just around the table. She feels very,
And with like new, also sometimes new people, or me, who's like, again, short-term memory issues. I'm like a new person every time I play.
it's like, oh, is that rule?
What do I roll here again?
Right. So I've always been trying to figure out how to get her more comfortable in doing it. And I don't know, do you have any advice for how to work on that?
Yes, I do. And I really think this is kind of the advice that they give you in improv. And I sort of backed into realizing that I do it in D&D all the like when we started Not Another D&D podcast, me and Murph had played a ton of D&D. Caldwell had played a little bit, and Jake had played not a lick of it. And going back and listening to old episodes, like I guess my strategy is very much an improv strategy, which is like they call it like giving someone a gift. So you just say like, oh, like where'd you get that vest? And then they're like, oh, okay, my character's wearing a vest. Yeah, I am wearing a vest. I got it from my mother. Like you just kind of like ask them questions, but you don't say like, how are you? You say like, like you just like give them little gifts, and then that sort of tends to involve people. Obviously, that's me giving advice, like ask like a fellow player. The DM, I'm sure it's entirely different. It's much more like, okay, what does their character care about? And then baiting them into coming out of their shell by coming up with something emotional enough that they don't even feel insecure, that they aren't even thinking about performing. But as a player, I usually just like try to like involve people, make jokes about them, be like, set them up by being like doing a spell that buffs them, or doing a spell that like involves like a 2-person combo or something like that, or being like, you know what, I'm gonna go talk to the witch. Hey, come with me.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like just stuff like that.
That's really smart, because I think a lot of what happens is she gets she wants to look at her character sheet and be like, I don't understand how these things work, and she concentrates on that rather than the improv stuff, which is just like ask it about a detail, like just start a conversation, and then the stuffs flow from that.
Yeah,
that's really
and
smart.
Usually like and a lot of times it'll be like like if someone's feeling shy, they might like, and you're like, where'd you get that vest? And they're like, Target. And then everyone laughs because they're just like, okay, Target's real in this fucking world now. And then and then that gets them out of their shell, and they're like, yeah, my vest is from Target. I'm funny.
Right? All right. So the note I'm taking is ask about vests.
Yes.
All right.
The
Done.
vests will do it.
The vests.
I'm wondering could you play D&D with a new player and not give them a character sheet?
Yeah.
Because do you think the character sheet is what overwhelms people, like looking at all these tiny little numbers? And
yeah,
it could be. What do you think?
I gotta be honest. There's a part of me that like really, really made my intro into D&D so lusty, as I previously mentioned, is the rolling. So like I would think another thing that gets like new like shy players invested is like, give them a bunch of rolls. Give me a perception check. Give me this check. Give me an acrobatics check. Because then that person about your character, like, oh, your character. All right, like they say they want to, they're like, okay, you know, I'm going to dance to the violin music at the tavern. Cool, give me a performance check. They roll poorly. You're a bad dancer. Cool, I know my character's a bad dancer now, you know? So I feel like
the backstory.
And I also, like, I love the gambling aspect of it. So, you know, I feel like the numbers are fun because gambling is fun.
Gambling is fun. Yeah. But yeah. I did, when I played with my kids for the first time, they were like 2 and 4. They were like super young. And you know, they could barely read.
That is so cute.
It is very cute, but I didn't really have a character sheet. I just kind of gave them like you're good at fire and you're bad at dancing or whatever it is, like, and then just kind of had that in front of them and let it just be a little bit more like an improv game, and that's
helped. What I'm gonna do, because my niece, her name is Isis. I'm sorry, but it's just always been her name. It's just always an awkward thing too. I mean, look, I'm probably on like no-fly lists and stuff like that just from texting about Isis so much. But my niece Isis is this summer, like she's 7. Came up to me and Murph, and she was like when we were at the beach house, and she was like, I want to know more about D&D. We were like,
did she like whisper it too? Was she
yes.
like, psst, I want to know?
Yes. She wants it to be her secret thing that the other cousins don't get to know about. And so we're like, yeah. So then I was like, let's make you a character. And she got so into character creation, but she was like, maybe when I'm 8, we'll play. Like, she wasn't ready to play yet. So for her 8th birthday, we're going to go out there and like run a little game for her for the first time for
amazing.
Her, which now she has 2 characters. I got a text the other day from my brother that was like, Isis wants to know if she can have 2 characters and their sisters. And I was like, yeah.
Oh, because she's always wanted.
She's got an amazing little backstory going on here.
Is she an only child?
Nope, she has 2 siblings. She's the oldest, though. I think, like, whenever I hang out with her, she wants to be my sister. So I think she wants, like, an older sister, or she wants, like, a sister who's a peer or something. But
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I thought she was trying to create a new younger sibling for herself, because that's the thing.
She's got a crazy younger sister.
Oh, she's like, but I want a good one.
Yes.
Yeah. She's
this
like,
is what it should be like.
But that's really good advice to like make it kind of just improv. Because I think when if I do it for her, I don't know if I'll do it or Murph will run it, but pretty much every spell she tries to cast will work.
Right.
Yeah.
I know. I did this thing, and this was back when that same session when they were super young, and there was a wolf coming at them. I was trying to, like, here's the one thing of tension I was going to do was a real snarling wolf, and I tried to describe it as scary as possible. And my oldest, Edna, was like, I'm going to try and tame the wolf because I like pets. And I was like, all right. I mean, I was like trying to really sell it. Like, you're going to die unless you try to fight this thing. And she's like, I'm going to try and tame it. And she brought out some rations and was going to try to give it food. I'm like, roll your D20. And fully assuming she was going to fail and then we were, going to get from there. She rolled a nat 20. And I'm like, well, crap. You tame this wolf, and it is your best friend now
its
forever.
Ears slick back, and you can tell its demeanor is now polite.
Yeah, and it starts, and you start eating the food, and and you could see her face, even though the tension was there, because she certainly was like, "What is this going to end up being?" But like her face melted at the fact that she now had a pet that she could love and hold and snuggle. So that was worth it.
When my mom played, because like my dad loves D&D and we play with my dad, and actually the rest of my family loves D&D, but my mom doesn't really like D&D because she doesn't want to hurt people. So the first time that we played with her, she was like, I just want to play someone who heals people. I don't want to hurt people. So she was a really polite cleric, but you could tell that she was deeply uncomfortable with it the whole time.
All the slaying and burning and death.
Every party needs a cleric. That's good. I'm glad that she was there.
So clerics are pretty badass, and they can really cause some damage too.
Is she? Would she be okay if it was like monsters and not people, or like cute wolves, if it was just like a beholder?
I think she is the kind of person who I don't think there's anything she would be cool with killing. I think she would be in for the redemption story of like a knoll. So yeah.
So I played D&D with my mom and dad, and my dad was deeply disturbed by how much my mom wanted to kill things.
It's the exact opposite.
Like, she was a dwarf. She was just like, I'm like, okay, you guys, you're in a tavern. She's like, who am I going to kill? Why is he looking at me? I see, look, I'm going to get it. My dad's like, what are we doing here? Like, we're just talking. Yeah.
That was kind of like my sister, because my sister's like a human rights lawyer, but like her character, she was like, I want to play a warlock tiefling, just like all out, like the most like different than her real life.
Yes. I feel like people either they go like complete opposite of who they truly are, or they find a character that's very, very much like them.
Yeah.
There's really no middle ground there. You're either playing someone that you're not or you want to be, or yourself, but like a really cool, heroic, magical version of yourself.
Yeah. Was the first character that you created, was that like a power fantasy for you?
The first character I created was a radical vegan gnome druid.
Oh yeah.
So it was an expression of something deep in my soul, yes.
Are you a radical vegan?
No, but I desperately wish I was.
That makes sense. Why gnome? What was your affinity with the gnomes?
Thought it sounded cute as hell.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious, what character did your niece, was it your niece? Wait, now short-term memory.
Yeah.
Isis.
No.
What did she create?
Niece,
You remembered Isis. That's good.
She wanted. I actually, because like my character for Not Another D&D podcast is a druid, and she wanted to do a druid.
Oh, cute.
She wanted to do a druid elf, which is exactly what my character is, and she named her Woodland, like Woodlind, and she had hair that looked like changing leaves of fall.
Oh, she made that up?
Yes, this all just like poured from her, and she had I believe a squirrel companion named Rabbit or something like that.
Like you do.
Love it.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Yeah. Done it. And then her alter ego is the warlock tiefling. That's the other side of the coin, the sister.
Oh, no. That's my literal sister in real life. My sister's like a very righteous person who wanted to play just an evil tiefling.
You got to get it out somehow. Like, you
know.
spend all day being so good.
Right. You want to bash some monsters.
Yeah. I want to make some pacts with demons. You know.
Ooh, yeah.
So you mentioned that you're not sure if you're going to run it or if Murph is. Have you been a dungeon master in some aspects?
I have DM'd once in my life.
How did it go?
Very recently. Honestly, I was really bad, but I know all the ways that I was really bad, and it was still fun. So I definitely am excited to try again.
Who did you DM for?
I DM for Brennan.
Okay.
And my friend Siobhan, and Caldwell, who's in Another D&D podcast, and this guy named Murph, I think.
Oh, yeah. When you said you know all the ways that you were bad.
Yeah.
Like what?
Here's the first thing I did wrong. I am such a player-focused character, or I'm always like, I'm so player-focused that all of them were like, oh, can we be this level? And I'm like, yes, you can. And they're like, oh, if we could be just one level higher, I could do this cool thing. And I was like, cool. And the level kept getting higher and higher until they were level 7. So my very first game was just running like encounters for level 7 characters when I've never run an encounter in my life.
Ah, yes.
So that was probably a mistake. And then I also, you know, like you always hear people say, oh, it needs to be a sandbox. It's a sandbox, which is very cool, but it means that I spent so much time creating this massive world for one little thing. And so when it came down to, they just did a fraction of what I planned. And the things, because I planned so much, the things that they actually did, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Oh no, how do I do that? So I just kind of like over planned and made it way too high of a level. But it was also still really fun. So it's also kind of fun to be like not good at something.
To challenge yourself. Yeah, and to try new things, right, Shelly?
Yeah.
I guess. I'm a scared dungeon master. Because I had a bad experience too, but I did not find it fun nor excited to try again. Sigh.
From someone who, when I was in college, I did stand-up comedy, and I pretty much did it because the first time I did it, I was really bad, and I was like, what a rush to suck at something.
Wow.
So then I just kept doing it because it felt like, no, I think I can do this. I need to prove to myself that I can do this. So I think I got a little bit bit by that, no. I need to prove to this circumstance which bested me that I can best it.
I need a little of that.
Yeah. Can you bottle some of that gumption and send it our way?
Yeah, I absolutely can. It's highly alcoholic.
Yes.
It's actually just Tito's vodka.
It's Tito's vodka.
Weird. This gumption tastes like vodka.
I know, right? Well, and there's some orange juice in it too.
I can feel the effects happening already. Did the players help you?
Wait. Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's why it was so fun. It was. I don't know if it was a mistake to do it for my 3 DMs. I wanted to do it because it's like these 3 DMs that I've worked with, I have had so much fun playing in their worlds. Like, I want to give back, but at the same time, there was a mistake in that because suddenly I'm DMing for like the people that I've looked up to this entire time, and so it's like, oh God, they know everything I'm doing wrong. They know everything I'm doing wrong.
That's like my biggest fear. Everyone's just gonna know, like, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong.
Wait, so
like,
what has your experience been, Shelly?
I tried, I don't even know why. I think I was like writing an article about like how to become a dungeon master when you don't know anything. And I experimented and it went very poorly. It was like the nicest people.
How did it go poorly?
Similar to you, I overplanned. But in my mind, I was like, this is what happens. And then this, and then this, and then that. And then when we started and they didn't do what I thought they were going to do initially, everything fell apart because I didn't have a backup plan. Like I said, you will go right. And they were like, actually, we're going left. And I'm like, I don't know what's to the left. And I don't want to play anymore. And
you're like, cool. A desert landscape approaches you.
And you all fall in quicksand and die. Yeah, and I just like completely forgot how to do any sort of checks. I didn't know like to ask them like if when they were like, can I do this? I'm like, I don't really know.
Yeah.
Maybe you can. Like I just forgot everything.
It sounded like you were bombing at a stand-up, and it just got worse and worse and worse, and you weren't really sure what to do.
But unlike Emily, I was like, I am never doing this again. I am a grown-ass woman, and nobody can make me be a dungeon master. Bye.
No, it's good. You know what? You should look at it as like, oh my gosh, part of my brain has a chance to get bigger. There's a part of my brain I haven't been using, and it is weak, and I have a chance to take it to the freaking gym.
You go to the gym a lot more than anybody else does that I know. So
in case like our bosses are listening,
you're always at the gym during work hours.
By the gym, you mean like that conference room where I'm diligently working.
Giving my fingers a workout on my computer.
Yeah, I do that all the time. So I like the kind of person I was never really good at sports. I'm not coordinated. And in high school, like we had to play softball, and it was like I would go to school with like the anxious stomach. I'm like, I'm gonna have to swing a bat today, and I always struck out because I can't hit a ball with a bat. I just can't, and I can't catch a ball. And it was like, I said to myself, I'm like, you're 14 now, but my God, one day you're gonna be an adult, and nobody can make you play softball. And I'm like, you're right, Shelly. Future Shelly, nobody ever is going to make me play softball. And I think I had the same experience with that horrible dungeon mastering that I was like, guess you're just a player. And you never
me. Shelly, DM for me because I will bring so much
Emily, I almost
enthusiasm.
couldn't talk to you on this
no.
interview.
Freaking, here's the thing. Maybe, you know what? Maybe your players weren't supportive enough because I'm sitting in the room with a first-time DM. My spirit is there. I'm there 150%. I'm asking all the questions.
Snapping all the fingers. You're
I'm
like
snapping all the fingers. I'm making sure that you're feeling good. DM for me. You'll feel better.
Okay. I will. I'm going to do that.
We're going to do it at D&D Live 2020.
D&D Live on the stage in front of thousands.
With lots of lights. No pressure at all.
No.
Yeah, I would say definitely don't do it live. Yeah,
I feel like
actually,
that's exactly the right place for me to do it.
Did you, I mean, going back, because your experience you were talking about with doing stand-up and bombing and working on it hard, that feels a lot like dungeon mastering to me now. Like I did stand-up for a couple of years, and but I like that rush of having, it's not, there are tons of people that would be at clubs or anything like that, but there is those 4 or 5 people around you that are just waiting for you to be awesome,
Yeah.
right? And they're like, all right, tell me the cool thing so I can laugh and have fun with my friends. And if that doesn't, if it doesn't, you don't meet those expectations, I understand the pressure there.
Yes.
But did it feel similar when you were dungeon mastering?
Yes, I felt so, like, maybe the scariest part was, like, even just whenever it was time, if it was like, cool, okay, we're going to do that. And I'm like, okay, now it's time for me to narrate them going to do that.
Yeah.
None of them are going to talk. It's just going to be me talking. I'm just going to talk for a minute. And these 4 people who I love with all my heart are going to look at me. It was the rush of like, I'm terrified, but like, I have to do it. Like maybe like the foot on the tightrope feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love that because it's a lot less stakes than actually being in front of, people in a club or something like that. But
yes. Yeah, and that's definitely true. Is like stand up, it's like if you did poorly, like no one was rooting for you. But like when I was DMing for my closest friends, surprisingly, they were rooting for me.
Yeah.
Surprisingly.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Like as a player, I never sit down at the table and like feel like, come on, Dungeon
What
Master.
you got, DM?
What are you going to do for me today? Like, I'm always
That's
just
what
like,
I'm saying.
oh, I'm so grateful that you're here to tell me a story and that you're willing to like do this amazingly difficult job. I've never had an expectation that it's all on the Dungeon Master and that I'm going to be really pissed off if I don't have fun.
Yeah,
Never.
That's the thing is like yes, me feeling anxious of, okay, now I have to narrate them doing this. This is terrifying. I'm going to take up space and they're all going to get bored while I talk. And yet when it's the flip side, I'm just like, oh, this is narration? I'm in.
Yeah, everything you say is fascinating.
Tell me about this new room we just walked into. Are there velvet drapes? Is there a decanter of wine?
You really are thirsty for D&D.
I am, yeah. It's a lusty.
So, do you think there would ever be like a crossover? Like, first of all, will there be more Hot Date? I need that.
We have a second season that went on Pop TV, and I don't know. I'm assuming it's going to go on Netflix because I think that Netflix was happy with it. So I'm assuming it's going to show up on Netflix.
I hope so. Will there ever be like a D&D Hot Date episode?
Okay. This is so funny because we wrote one for season 1 and they were like, what is Dungeons and Dragons? And we were like, so we changed it to be like a game of werewolf. It was like, it's like basically like we wrote it to be this episode about like the Merv and Emily characters at a dinner party at like a board game night, like a game night with a new couple who was like going through a breakup. And how they like accidentally like make this character break up. It was supposed to be about, we tried to do like a D&D adjacent, like we were like coming up with like, a D&D adjacent, but not copyrighted specifics. But the notes we got were, what is this?
Really?
So we changed it to be sort of like a werewolf parallel because I think at the time that we were writing it, more people, it was also like we were writing this like so long ago that like I don't think D&D was having the visibility that it is now.
But werewolf was.
I know. I'm like, what,
that's
they
a
got
more niche-
werewolf?
Yeah, niche. That's more niche.
I think that like Hollywood executives love werewolf. So we were able to get away with that.
They're like, hey, it's Twilight and True
Yes,
Blood.
exactly.
I get werewolves.
Yeah, we can understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it
So
was.
yeah, we did try to do that.
Okay.
Bring it back.
Yeah, you might have to. Maybe you could just dust
now,
that one off.
I think we could have made it happen now.
For
right?
sure.
Yeah.
And we'll give you permission. I'm pretty sure we can give you guys permission to use it.
We'll even send you products to use on set.
Oh my God, thank you. Yes, thank you.
Your video froze for a little while, and all we saw was your.
Or did it freeze, or did I just hold that pose?
You are that good. God, you are a quintuple threat.
Yeah, becoming a statue is the fifth one.
Yeah. Oh my God, Tito froze.
Wow.
Oh, he tricked me.
Right?
I
I'm
was
pretty
worried.
good. I've been practicing.
I was super worried.
Yeah.
So tell us about the characters that you play in all of these different podcasts.
Okay. In Not Another D&D podcast, I play a character named Moonshine Cybin, and she is a Circle of Spores druid. We made her when it came out on Unearthed Arcana, so she's like an Unearthed Arcana Circle of Spores druid. She's also a crick elf, which is basically sort of a hillbilly elf. I grew up with a crick in my backyard, and so I kind of just took a lot of those specifics and turned it into sort of a freckled, rough around the edges hillbilly elf.
When you say crick, you mean like creek?
That's.
Oh, yeah,
like a
that's
creek?
what a crick.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a little body of water, but I don't know. In some regions, people just call it a crick.
Yep.
So, yes. So
I
she's
grew up
a
with
crick
both.
elf.
You grew up with a crick?
Cricks and creeks.
Oh, really?
Because crick is more southern.
I think so. I don't know.
I mean, I'm
it's
from
the same
upstate New
thing.
York.
Yeah.
I'm from upstate New York, but
Me
upstate New York
too.
has this like little, upstate New York has this kind of like has like these kind of like almost southern pockets to it that are a little rougher around the edges.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up outside of Albany, New York.
Oh, I grew up in Binghamton.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
We both had state schools.
Yes, exactly.
SUNY.
SUNY Albany.
We both had SUNYs.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was born in Syracuse, New York. So
yes.
there's like
Okay.
this weird,
Wow.
Good
Bermuda.
mall.
or-
Not a state school, but yet another college in
not a
upstate
state
New
school.
York.
It's true. So your
Yeah,
sparkle.
you're not a state school, you're fancy.
I did go to UConn. That's pretty much a state school
Okay,
in
all right.
Connecticut, I guess. Whatever.
Trying to
And
fit
then-
in.
Trying to fit in.
A transparent attempt to fit in.
Please like me.
Please.
And then my other characters are, I play, these are all like the sort of like performing characters. I play a bard that plays rock and roll. She plays the bass. She's a tiefling. Yeah. And she's just kind of like a spicy little teenager. And then I also play in another campaign with Brennan, I play sort of a Fran Drescher style.
She did it again. She froze halfway through.
So she's kind of just like, did I?
Yeah.
Sorry.
In the-
I'll try and give you guys really good facial expressions so it freezes
It worked.
up.
It worked really good.
Thanks.
You were like mid Fran Drescher.
But yeah, so I play a Fran Drescher drunken monk. She's basically like a divorcee from Staten Island who's kicking ass.
What's it like playing the music? Because I want to do. Are you writing music? Are you singing along as when you're the bard?
Oh, when I'm the bard? No. I kind of just like, usually before I go have a session, like I listen to a bunch of Primus because Primus is like real good, like bass driven rock.
A lot of slap.
So it like
Yep.
gets me into the zone. But I usually just kind of like mime it, and then like usually it'll just turn into chaos, and then I'm like, Faeth whips out her bass, and then I'm like, thump, 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 But I do write the music for Not Another D&D podcast, but that's separate.
Oh.
Yeah.
How does that? Have you always been writing music, or is that a new skill?
It's a skill that I used to always write weird little albums just as like a creative outlet for emotions. Yeah, then once we started doing Not Another D&D podcast, it was like Murph was like, I don't have the right song for this moment, and I was like, I think I could write it. And then now I've written just hundreds of songs for it.
Wow.
So yeah,
amazing. So that's like the songs to like punch up a moment that happens in the game.
Yeah, like usually it'll just be like, and now like I'll sort of, when we're playing, I'll be like, ooh, this is a good moment. I want to write music for this. But it'll be like mostly we're a very, very goofy podcast, but there will be some serious moments that it just really kind of like helps sell a moment to have some music behind it.
Yeah,
kind of like the more emotional moments or things or to like make things way scarier. Also, I really like writing spooky and scary music, or to like make things like the stakes really high. It's usually like Murph will introduce some really crazy monster and I'll come up with some like really creepy or really intense track, or it'll be like one of the characters has like I don't want to give anything away, so I'm choosing my words carefully. One of the characters has closure for something bad that happened, and I'll write something sad and sweet, or stuff like that. I grew up watching playing a lot of Final Fantasy VI, and was obsessed with the soundtrack. So it's pretty much me writing Final Fantasy music.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like creating a score for an improv game. I love that.
Yeah.
It's much harder to do that on the fly, but I've been really experimenting. Yeah.
I don't do it on the fly.
No,
Let me
be
clear. Yeah, okay. I'm not like sitting in the room noodling while I play. Also, that would be so distracting for the other players and so difficult to edit around.
We have had a guy. It was with the Dragon Friends podcast.
I was just thinking, trying to remember who that was.
One of our events, and he was his name was Benny, and that was the thing, was that there was
Really?
5 or 6 people playing, but then he was on the keyboard in the background, and he just.
That's great,
he had the improv skills where he could do something dramatic, a stinger. He could do more creepy like background music. He could go real quiet and go real loud.
Yeah.
And it added this like kind of, performance-y type feel to it. Kind of like the piano player playing the music behind the silent films, era. Like always doing that.
And as a performer, it's really fun to have music. Like Brennan always does such an amazing job DJing, which like, look, Brennan Mulligan is a freaking insane DM, but one thing that he does amazingly that doesn't even get talked about is he just has the best royalty-free music cues that he'll throw in, and like he'll be describing something and the most poetically creepy, and then he'll start a freaking track that you're just like, all right, now I'm absolutely terrified. I'm absolutely terrified. So he's also a great DJ. He's a great DJ DM.
That is a good skill to have.
Yeah.
We have a partner called Sirenscape, which has like an interface that you can use that helps with a lot of that. And I've been experimenting with it. It's really fun because you can be like, oh, here we're in the sewers, and it has like a soundscape that you can be in, and then all of a sudden there's dripping things and there's goblins in the background.
It seems like another thing to have on your plate. Yeah, it just seems like another crazy thing to have on your plate though, when you already have so many little pages with little creatures on them.
I'm not ready for that.
Yeah, that's
although I could just like sit there DMing, things go sideways, and I just like turn on a track and just sit there. Well, hope you guys
figure this one out.
Just explore the room, I guess. Just play some music.
I know. I talked to people who use other, like players actually can be a good help for this, like or like a co-DM or something like that. Someone who's like running the
co-DM. That's wild.
Yeah, that's taking shape a lot because it almost takes 2 different skill sets, right? There's the person who's the good improviser and good voice actor and things like that. But then there's also the person who's got like the whole meta plot in their brain to do things. And sometimes, having 2 people share that can help.
Me and Murph should try. We're, pretty much same brain from living together and working together and being around each other all the time. We probably could
co-DM
slide into that. Yeah. Not that he needs a co-DM though. He's beautiful bird who flies in the sky. So I don't think he needs anything to weigh him down.
I think his ears are burning from. You're like, you're a bird.
Flying away.
Flying away. But that'd be really interesting to see.
Yes, it would.
I mean, because obviously you're an awesome DM and getting better, and he's an awesome DM and getting worse.
I'm a terrible DM.
Keep bringing him down.
Honestly, I would say that I can't imagine. He's so amazing. I can't imagine him getting better. So you're right. I think the only direction is down.
Yeah, he's at the peak. He's at the pinnacle. Yes.
Right? Meet him halfway.
No, he's gonna keep reinventing the game. That's what my husband's gonna do.
A great DM is only as great as their players.
That's
right.
Right. So you got to recruit some good players. Looks like you, Emily, is gonna be ready to play with you.
You look good. I promise. I'll make you look good.
Okay. I think if I had a co-DM, I could do it.
Yeah. You actually were a co-DM with me when. So we played about a week ago with some new players, and I was telling her before that it was really useful to have someone being like, I think that's a role that you can do to the other new players that are around, and it was fantastic. I didn't have to be the only. I didn't feel like on the spot at all.
Okay, good. You didn't feel like, hey, mind your own business.
No, not at all.
This is my story.
Shelly, what did you play? What were you playing for this?
This is my Tabaxi Ranger. Sure shot. Pa, pa, pa. I love her.
That's so cute.
Yeah, I switched. I used to play Magic users exclusively, and then I realized that it's problem. So easy to be a ranger. Like you just fire your bow.
What level were you? Did you have did you choose what type of ranger you were yet?
We were first level.
Yeah, because it was new people, so I didn't want to. I didn't want to start with a 7th level campaign.
Yeah, don't. It's not a good idea. Because suddenly you're running encounters that are really high,
way complicated all of a sudden,
and have lots of text underneath them, and suddenly you're like, oh man, I want lust for just a bullywug.
Right. Just give me a goblin that can just.
Give me a mean goblin. I just want to play a mean goblin.
Right. Yeah, so we were first level, but yeah, it does get more complicated for rangers, as with all the characters as you get farther.
It's a class that I think I'm intimidated by because I've seen a couple people play it and I've seen them kind of struggle to really nail. Although I have seen one person play a Gloomstalker Ranger and clean house. That was an insane type of ranger.
You mean as is the amount of damage that they could do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was cool. It was awesome to watch.
My first big character was in 3.5 era, and it was a half-elf ranger who...
3.5 is what my first campaign was.
Me too.
Yeah.
That's what I learned on.
Yeah.
And those rangers could kick ass. I was doing 6 attacks a round. I was doing 150 points of damage over the course of it.
At what level?
I had 22 because I got
up
there.
22. I've never... What's the highest level you've ever played, Emily?
Highest level? Honestly, a lot of my characters haven't really gone that high. Probably Moonshine Cybin is my highest that I've ever gotten to, and she's level 14. Well, she has one class, one level barbarian, 13 druid. But I think we're about to level up.
Ooh, what are you gonna take next? Do you think?
I'm just sticking druid for the rest of it.
Oh,
she just has it because Circle of Spores, since it has that fungal form.
You paused.
You want to go and kind of attacking a bit. I like taking a level of barbarian so that I can do that and do a little damage and suck up a little damage too.
That makes sense.
Also, I just roleplay wise, I love just being being able to wrestle someone and get advantage on the strength check. So
you can rage out.
Yeah.
So with your background in improv, and I'm going to bring up Hot Date again because it's the best show, and all of the different characters that you and Murph play on Hot Date and your D&D characters, is there a similarity in how you create your sketch comedy characters with how you create your D&D characters? You mentioned before, when you were talking about your characters, you said, these are the ones I perform with. So there's a difference between your home game characters and your performing characters. Oh,
I think I was just saying that to say these are the ones that people would know.
Okay.
Yeah. Is there a difference? I think with Hot Date, we usually come at it from what's a funny like sort of sketch comedy angle, and then fill in the characters, because like we write that show, so it's like, and it's a pretty intensive writing process, so a lot of times we're just trying to get the script done and then get to set, and we're like, cool, what is this character? It's like a little more on the fly. With my D&D characters, I know like I have to live into this person, so I usually like choose something I usually choose something that I like want to work through, and kind of I'm like, that's that person. This is perhaps too personal, but like when I took on Moonshine, she's basically like this super fertile elf, but doesn't want to be a mom, and that was like kind of like me being like, maybe I don't want kids. I'm a very maternal person in a lot of ways, but maybe I don't want kids. I guess I'll just play Moonshine for 2 years and figure out if that feels right. So I think I usually like take something that is like on my mind and channel that in.
That's really, I think one of the powers of Dungeons and Dragons is that it allows you to work through stuff in a safe space. We've talked to tons of people who are dealing with PTSD or trying to figure out where their gender, like their actual gender roles are, and they'll try out different gender roles with things, and but it doesn't need to be. It can also just be like, hey, I want to find out if I want kids or not, or at least explore those ideas in a safe way.
Yeah, or even like, there's other examples, but maybe I'll just be private.
Yeah. So it's the opposite. So story first and then characters when it's comedy. And then
definitely.
Character first and then so when you're playing with Brennan or Murph, do they kind of come up with, like when you guys are starting something new, knowing what everyone's characters are, is that where the story then comes from? Or is it more?
It's kind of different with both of them, because with Dimension 20, we usually do shorter things. Like, it's like, I'm going to live in this character for 12 to 20 episodes. We have like character creation, and that's also a party of 6 people. So it's like, we need to make sure that it's like a balanced party. So it's like, we all get together, we're pitching character ideas, making sure that we're not all coming in and being like, I'm going to be a wizard, and then it's just 6 wizards. But so that's that character process. And then for another D&D campaign, actually the Crick Elf was a rejected idea from Dimension 20.
Oh.
So then, because we had like filmed, we were doing like this like teenage sort of John Hughes sort of vibe, and I was like, I want to be a Crick Elf, and Brendan was like, I love you, Emily, but that doesn't really make sense with the genre. And I was like, very fair, very, very fair. And then so I was like, came up with this Crick Elf, and then when we started on another D&D podcast, I was like, can I play the Crick Elf? And then Murph was like, yeah. And then, that kind of built the world. And then we're about to start our next campaign. And so like me and the other players have been like texting kind of character ideas and stuff like that. So it's, it's kind of all bouncing off of each other. Yeah, I would say the character creation process is pretty open with the entire group.
What are some, I was looking at chat earlier, and everyone was really excited about name dropping all the other cast members and things like that. So like, what's been a big part of playing with them and seeing their characters change over time that you've enjoyed?
Which one? The one
for
from Dimension 20 or NADPOD? Oh, what's been the great part about playing with them?
Yeah.
The great part about playing with Jake is watching someone play D&D for the first time. Like the very first episode when he someone is very classic, someone in a tavern is rude to him and he's like, I punch him. and then Murph as the DM, he's like, do you want to hit him with your axe? And he's like, yeah. Just like so like shocked, and like watching him slowly get bit by the bug has been so fun. And playing with Caldwell, me and Caldwell are very, very similar in that we like to get creative. That might be the nicest way to say it. We're both just like, we'll both just like get obsessed with something stupid and derail the podcast by being obsessed with something stupid. So it's like so much fun that we're both stupid.
Well, what do you mean by stupid? Just doing things that are not optimal?
Like,
Is that what
okay, here's what I'll say. No. I have a very specific example. There was this one episode where we were basically in a Wizards tournament, and one of the other competitors was Murph introduces, and he's like, and there's these other competitors, and they're like these creatures from the sky, and they're made of worms. And both me and Caldwell are like, who are these beautiful creatures? And we were obsessed. Both of us immediately obsessed, to the point where Jake was like, I don't know. I don't even know. I don't care about this. Why are you guys so obsessed with this? And so it's like me and Caldwell will just be like, Starspawn. We love Starspawn. We want to know more about the worm folks. Are the worm folks okay? What are the worm folks doing? So it's kind of like having like a fun friend who's willing to go somewhere really silly with you.
I want to know more about these worm folks.
I do too.
Starspawn.
But that made me nervous thinking about like, well, what if Murph didn't plan to tell you that much about the worm folk, and now you really want to know about them?
Shelly, you
See,
don't have to
it's
be
the
nervous.
DM paranoia is back.
But see, Murph is just so good at rolling with it that he's just like, all right, you guys are obsessed with the Starspawn? Cool. We'll have more Starspawn.
Yeah.
He's just, it comes naturally to
There's
him.
something really freeing about allowing the player's interest to direct you too.
Yes.
Like, right? Like, and that's what I was doing when we played last week, was just like, all right, well, if that's what you want to do, that's what I'm making up right now. And then all of a sudden it becomes something that you remember and go forward. And it shouldn't be a nervous inducing thing. It should be like
It should not be.
It's a yes and moment.
Yeah.
I'll get there.
I think you will, Shelly.
I'll get there.
You seem real defeated.
When I'm in your game and I'm like, hey, can I do actually like a perception check to see if there are any worm creatures around? And then I roll a nat 20. You're actually going to be excited.
I am. I'm going to say you look around and you're 100% sure there are no worm creatures here.
Oh, okay.
And now I don't have to describe the worm creatures.
All right. And now can I do a survival check to see if there's any worms in puddles? And can I find enough? And then I roll another nat 20.
Okay. And then I would say you bend down to look into a puddle to see if there's a worm there. And all of a sudden you feel something sucking on your face. Oh, it attacks you and it pulls you down into the puddle. Is it a worm? Don't know.
Oh my gosh. But see, I'm invested now. Do I roll initiative?
And that's where we'll pick up when we play together.
See? You've learned.
Literally down the wormhole.
Nailed it.
Okay.
All right. I'm invested too. I want to see where this goes.
Okay. You can be there too. You can try to pull her out of the hole.
Oh, although now I'm kind of curious what's on the other side of the hole.
Right. She'd be like, no, let me go.
Are there worms
Here's
there?
a sneak peek. I go limp and I give in to the wormhole.
Okay, but now Greg's there. Do you want to try to save her?
No, I jump right in.
You're going to?
I reach my hand out like Arnold Schwarzenegger in Terminator, and I invite you into the wormhole.
I take a moment like, I'm getting too old for this, and I roll up my sleeves and dive straight into the hole.
Okay, now you're both in the hole.
I'm in it.
Okay, so you're just free falling for like months.
Well, this is fun.
I will.
Do we know it? Do we see each other?
I have created food and I have created water stock, so I'm just making us meals.
Yes, as you're falling. Yes. It's very narrow though, so you can't be in tandem with each other. It's very narrow. You have only one, and you have to go single file down the wormhole.
Okay, well, I'm below him, so I'm throwing up the food. I'm throwing up the food to him.
Wait, I thought it's not a human caterpillar type situation.
Well, we could do that.
That's pretty
Can we
gross.
roll to do that?
Can we roll to human caterpillar?
Okay, so what
We do
skill
a
would you
reverse
roll for
mending.
that? If you want to, what skill would that be? I would say yes.
I would think
Medicine?
sleight of hand. Medicine. Sleight of hand on I am proficient in surgeon's tools, so.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Do it.
All right, so you already started. You're already DMing. It's happening.
You're
I'm
DMing.
inspired now. I'm going to think about this now. Okay. Give me a couple days. That's how
Don't
it works,
prepare too
right?
much. Don't prepare too much.
Don't prepare too much.
What's
We
at
are
the
level
bottom?
12, though.
No,
We're
13. I need to be level
level
13.
I'm a multi-class barbarian and rogue.
Okay.
I'm half Asimar, half Tiefling.
You're half-ass.
I am half-ass.
I'm
half-ass.
half-assing this DMing thing.
Half-ass, half teeth.
People in the know. That's how you say it.
That's true.
Yeah.
Emily, you're awesome. You've made us laugh so much. Thank you for being on. How can people, find out more about you and what you're doing, all your projects?
They can watch. Currently, Dimension 20 is streaming live on Twitch every Wednesday at 7 Pacific Standard Time. Those have been a blast. That's where I play an angsty little teen, and I carry all of my angsty teen emotions with me home, and it's torture.
And Murph loves it.
And Murph loves it. And then not another D&D podcast. We're just a podcast that you can find online and listen to it, and it's fun.
And love it.
And love it. And love it, and tell us how much you love it so that our delicate little egos feel special.
They can tell you that on the social media, maybe? Is that...
Yes, I am kind of on Twitter at Axford. It's not in my habit. So I go on maybe once a week, and then I look at everything then.
Sweet.
Well, people are really excited about you being a guest today, so you should look at all the nice things they're saying about you.
They say lots of nice things.
I hope
They really
that I
do.
lived up to expectations.
I think you did.
You exceeded. You rolled a nat 21.
Yep.
Stop! That's
With
a broken
advantage.
dice, but I'll take it.
And you have
I
inspiration.
would love to physically see how that happens.
It just, all of a sudden, a new face of the
Just
die just
happened.
appeared. It was
Yeah.
pretty amazing.
Never seen that before.
Thank you so much. I'm
thanks
sure
for having me.
we'll play again, and now I want to find out what happens down the wormhole.
Oh, we will.
And
Yeah,
the
I
soup-
want to know where this wormhole lands after months in the air.
Just keep. I'll let you know when you hit the ground.
Great.
Thanks, Emily.
Thank you, Emily.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.